Now what is the chapter's name, children? What is it? Yes, it is the Heritage of India. What is the name of the chapter, children? The Heritage of India. What do you mean by the word heritage, children? Yes, heritage means it's something valuable that is passed on from one generation to another. Something valuable that is passed on from one generation to another. It can be any valuable thing, children, which is passed on from one generation to another. So valuable means which just remains for many generations. Can you see? In that, now we are going to see what is architectural heritage. What is architectural heritage? Architectural heritage means the historical monuments. You might have heard about Jaisalmer Fort, Charminar, okay, Qutub Minar. Then you might have heard about Taj Mahal. These are all what is historical monuments. Okay, so this was built about years ago, but still it is remaining because of their valuability. That is why we say that heritage means something valuable that is passed on from one generation to another. Is it clear, children? So architectural heritage means historical monuments. Historical monuments. Next one. What do you mean by the word epic, children? Okay, can you see in the video, children? What do you mean by the word epic? E-P-I-C, epic. Epic is nothing but it's just a long narrative poem. A long narrative poem. Okay? Narration means it's a long story but in the form of a poem. It's in the form of a poem. Okay? It's a story poem. It's a very long narrative poem. Next one. Folk tales. Folk tales. F-O-L-K, folk tales, T-A-L-E-S. What do you mean by the word folk tales, children? Folk tales are the stories passed down orally from one generation to the next generation. Now, for example, you can even see your grandparents at home. Your grandparents at home. What do they tell you? Your grandparents, that is your grandfather and grandmother, they keep telling you stories. Yes? So, what happens is, after their generation, that story is passed on to us, to our generation. So we keep telling the stories. Even when we become grandparents, we tell our grandchildren the same stories. So that is folk tales. The stories passed down orally from one generation to the next. Are you clear with this, children, what I said? The stories passed down from one generation to the next generation. Yes, children. Now, as I told you, in this chapter, we are going to learn about the heritage of India, about the valuable things that were passed from one generation to another. So, what are the valuable things that are passed from one generation to another is, first one is that we are going to see about the architectural heritage, okay? And the next one we are going to see about epic. The third one we are going to see about folk tales. And then the fourth one we are going to see about all the dances of India. Fifth one we are going to see about music in India, the types of music in India. And sixth one, the last one, we are going to see about the paintings of India, the famous paintings of India. Now, to start with, first we are going to start with the architectural heritage of India. Okay, so I told you the meaning of architectural heritage. What do you mean by architectural heritage, children? Yes, architectural heritage means historical monuments. Historical monuments that were built many years ago and it is passed on from generation to another. Okay, now in the historical monuments, the first monument what we are going to see is, look at this picture, children. What is this monument? The name of this monument is Jaisalmer Fort. What is the name of this monument? Jaisalmer Fort. Can you look at the picture, children? How is this Jaisalmer Fort? Just observe the picture, children. What you can observe in this picture, you just see. Okay? Yes, listen now children. You have already observed the picture of Jaisalmer fort. You have observed the picture of Jaisalmer fort. Okay. Just keep in your memory what you have observed about the picture. Fine. Now we will see in detail about the Jaisalmer fort. Now listen here. This Jaisalmer fort has another name, Golden Fort. It is also known as the Golden Fort. Now where is this Jaisalmer fort, children? This Jaisalmer fort is situated in a place called Jaisalmer in the state of Rajasthan in India. So Jaisalmer is a place in Rajasthan in India. Okay? It is one of the largest forts in the world. See, in the world you have many largest forts, but among them, one of the largest fort is Jaisalmer fort. Okay. Now it was built by whom, children? It was built by the Rajput king. The great warriors, the Rajputs. It was built by the Rajput king. What is the name of that Rajput king? Raval Jaisal in the year 1156. So it was built by whom? The Rajput king Raval Jaisal in the year 1156. Are you clear, children? Now, its walls are yellow in color. Okay, the walls of the Jaisalmer fort are yellow in color. And when the sun's rays fall on the Jaisalmer fort, how does it appear, children? This is what I asked you, whether you have observed the picture correctly, and I asked you to keep it in mind. Can you just recollect what is in the picture? If not, you just go back to see what is in that picture. Okay. When the sun's rays fall on them, it appears golden color. It appears golden color. Okay. So it appears golden color because the sun's rays fall on them. Okay. That's what is about Jaisalmer fort, children. So once again, where is Jaisalmer fort? In Jaisalmer in Rajasthan in India. Okay. What is the other name for Jaisalmer fort? Golden Fort. Good. Okay. Jaisalmer fort is one of the largest forts in the world. Okay. By whom was the Jaisalmer fort built? Yes, it was built by the Rajput king Raval Jaisal in which year? 1156. What is the color of the walls of the Jaisalmer fort, children? Yes, it is yellow in color. Okay. What happens when the sun's rays fall on the Jaisalmer fort? How does it appear? It appears golden color. Okay. Is it clear now? Okay, fine. Yes, children. Now observe this picture, children. It is another architectural heritage of India. Okay. Whenever I ask you to observe the picture, please observe the picture properly, children, and keep it in your mind what is there in that picture. Is it clear? Okay. Now what is the name of this architectural heritage? That is this historical monument. What is the name of this historical monument? Yes, the name of this historical monument is Basilica of Bom Jesus. Basilica of Bom Jesus. Yes, children. Now we'll see in detail about Basilica of Bom Jesus. What do you mean by the word Bom, children? B-O-M, Bom. Bom means good Jesus. Okay. Okay, where is this Basilica of Bom Jesus? In which place is this? Yes, it is situated in Goa. It is situated in Goa. Okay, fine. What is this actually, children? You might have observed the picture. Are you able to get anything by observing the picture that what is it? Is it, children? Can you get it? Okay, fine. It is one of the oldest churches in India. There are many old churches in India, children. But one among them is the Basilica of Bom Jesus. It is a church. It was built in which year, children? Yes, it was built in 1605 during the Portuguese rule. It was built in which year, children? 1605. Now, hope you might have heard about a priest called Saint Francis Xavier. He's a father, children. He was liked by all the Christian people, Saint Francis Xavier. So what happened? He was dedicated to this church. So when he died, okay, he was preserved in a silver casket, children. He was put in a silver casket. You know what is casket, children? C-A-S-K-E-T. Casket is, you might have seen, children, if a person dies in a Christian religion, you might have seen in the movies also, they are put in a box. They are put in a box. Their body is put in a box and then they are buried. Okay, their body is put in a box. Okay, the box is closed and then they are buried. The name of that box is called casket. Okay, so this Saint Francis Xavier, who was a priest, okay, and he was a beloved father for everyone of that Christianity religion. So what happened is this Saint Francis Xavier was kept in the casket. He was kept in the casket which was made of silver, and then he was buried in the church. What happened after his death when Saint Francis Xavier died? What the people did? He was preserved in a silver casket. That is, he was put in that silver box after his death and then he was buried in the church because Saint Francis Xavier was dedicated to the church. Are you clear about this, children? So, about Basilica of Bom Jesus, where is it situated, children? In Goa. It is one of the oldest churches in India. In which year was it built, children? 1605. Why Saint Francis Xavier was buried in the church, children? Why he was put in the silver casket and buried in the church? Because that was for public people to come and see. For public, our people. That is for people to come and see. That is why the body of Saint Francis Xavier, as he was dedicated to the church, his body was buried in the church. He was put in a silver casket and then he was put in the... What happened to him? He was buried in the church. Is it clear now? Okay, fine. Now look at this picture, children. This is another architectural heritage of India. Yes, it is another historical monument of India. Can you see how beautiful this monument is? What is the name of this historical monument, children? Yes, Charminar. What is the name of this historical monument? Charminar. Okay, children. Now we shall see in detail about Charminar. I hope you all have observed the previous picture of Charminar clearly. Right? Now listen. By whom was this historical monument Charminar built? It was built by Muhammad Quli Qutb Shah. By whom was it built, children? By Muhammad Quli Qutb Shah. Okay, in which place is this Charminar situated? Yes, it is situated in Hyderabad. So, where is Charminar? It is in Hyderabad. Okay, Hyderabad is the capital of the state Andhra Pradesh. Hyderabad is the capital of the state Andhra Pradesh in India. Okay, fine. Now, this monument has a square base, children. This monument has a square base with a tower on each side. You might have noted in the picture, on each side of the Charminar, there is a tower. And it is connected by 4 arches, children. It is connected by 4 arches. You know how that arches will be, right? Okay, that opening, that arches. Okay, fine. It is connected by 4 arches. Observe the picture, children. You can see the arches. So, how many arches are there? 4 arches are there. and on each side of the Charminar there is a tower. And in what shape is the base of the monument? It has a square base. It has a square base. Okay. Next. What is special about this monument, children? It is made of granite and limestone. What is it made of, children? It is made of granite and limestone. Okay. Once again I will say, children. By whom was Charminar built? Charminar was built by Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah. Where is it situated, children? It is situated in Hyderabad. What type of a base the monument has? It has a square base, and what it has on each side? It has a tower on each side, and it is connected by what, children? By 4 arches. Okay, and it is made of what? A rock called granite and a rock called limestone. All granite rocks, it is made up of granite rocks and limestone. Is it clear now? Have you understood? Okay, fine. Yes, children. Now, observe this historical monument, children. You might have all visited this historical monument. Yes or no, children? Yes? Where is it, children? What is the name of this historical monument? Yes, come on. Yes, it is Meenakshi Amman Temple. It is Meenakshi Amman Temple. Where is it, children? In Madurai. Where is Madurai? In Tamil Nadu. Okay, so what is the name of this historical monument, children? It is another architectural heritage of India. It is very beautiful, especially during the night times when you see this temple, that lights, we can admire the lights. I hope even you might have admired the lights. So what is the name of this historical monument, children? Yes, it is Meenakshi Amman Temple. Yes, children. Now I'll ask you a few questions as you already know about Meenakshi Amman Temple. Okay, let us see, children, in detail. Where is this Meenakshi Amman Temple situated, children? Where is Meenakshi Amman Temple situated, children? Yes, as I told you, it is situated in Madurai in Tamil Nadu. Okay. It is one of the largest temple complexes in India. In India, you have many temples, children. But there are many large temples. But one among the largest temple is Meenakshi Amman Temple. Okay. How many years old is this Meenakshi Amman Temple? It's about 2500 years old. Am I right, children? It is about 2500 years old. Okay. Where is it located, children? It is situated in Madurai. But in Madurai, where, children? It is located along the banks of the Vaigai river. Okay. So in Madurai, we have a river called Vaigai, and this temple is located along the banks of the Vaigai river, that is surrounding on the banks of the Vaigai river. Okay. Then the gopurams are brightly colored. You can see that gopuram, children. You all know what is gopuram. Yes? Yes. Do you know what is gopuram, children? Definitely. What is gopuram? What is gopuram, children? It is a monumental entrance tower. It is at the entrance of a Hindu temple. Gopuram is at the entrance of a Hindu temple. Is it clear, children, now? Now, how is that gopuram colored? It is brightly colored. Gopurams are brightly colored. Now, again, to say about Meenakshi Amman Temple, it is situated in Madurai in Tamil Nadu. In Madurai means, where is this Meenakshi Temple in Madurai? That is, it is located on the banks of the river Vaigai. On the banks of the river Vaigai. How many years old is it? It is 2500 years old. It is about 2500 years old. What is special about the Gopurams, children? That entrance of the temple, it is colored. It is brightly colored. That Gopurams are brightly colored. Fine. It is one of the largest temple in India. It is one of the largest temple complex in India. Is it clear now? Now observe this picture, children. This is another architectural heritage of India and another historical monument. What is the name of this monument? Sanchi Stupa. What is the name of this monument? Sanchi Stupa. Okay, children. Now let us see in detail about the Sanchi Stupa. Where is this Sanchi Stupa situated? It is situated in Sanchi, in a place called Sanchi, which is near Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh is a state in India. Okay? In Madhya Pradesh, near Bhopal, this Sanchi is there. And this Sanchi, only this Sanchi Stupa was built. The stupa was built by the Mauryan emperor. What is the name of the Mauryan emperor? Ashoka. So the stupa was built by Ashoka about how many years ago? About 1700 years ago. It is a large dome. What do you mean by the word dome, children? D-O-M-E. Dome means a round roof on a building. A round roof on a building. Dome means a round roof on a building. So, it is a large dome of red sandstone. What sandstone? What color sandstone, children? It is red sandstone and baked bricks. So, it was built of red sandstone and baked bricks with a central chamber. Central chamber means a closed place, children. What is the meaning of central chamber? A closed place that contains the relics of Lord Buddha. Relics. Relics means physical remains. Relics means what? Physical remains of whom? Lord Buddha. Is it clear or not? Understood? Okay, fine. Once again, I will say about Sanchi Stupa, children. Where is it situated? In Sanchi, near Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh. By whom was the stupa built? By Ashoka. He was the Mauryan emperor. How many years ago? 1700 years ago. Okay. It is a large dome. I told you dome means it's a round roof on a building. What is that made of? It's made of red sandstone and baked bricks. Baked bricks with a central chamber. Central chamber means closed place. In that closed place only physical remains of Lord Buddha was kept. Physical, that is the relics of Lord Buddha was there. Is it clear now? Are you clear with this, children? Okay. Yes, children. Now I hope that you might have understood about the architectural heritage of India. What is architectural heritage? Historical monuments. We have seen a few historical monuments. What are the historical monuments we have seen, children? Right from the beginning, what is the historical monument? Yes, first one which we saw is Jaisalmer Fort. The next one is Basilica of Bom Jesus. The next one is Charminar. The next one is Meenakshi Amman Temple. And the last one which we saw is Sanchi Stupa. Have you understood, children, about the historical monuments? Okay. Now, let us move on to the epics. I already told you the meaning of epics in the beginning of this chapter. What is the meaning of epics? A long narrative poem. A long narrative poem. A poem which is in the format of a story. Okay, it is explained like a story. A long narrative poem. A full explanation is given. Okay, fine. Okay. Can you see this picture, children? What is there in this picture? There are two epics, children. One is Ramayana. You might have seen that series in your TV. Yes or no? Ramayana. And another epic is Mahabharata. This is a very long narrative poem, children. It's a very long narrative, a very long story, you can say. It's a very long narrative poem. That is why it is called as epics, children. So we have two epics. That is, one is Ramayana and the other one is Mahabharata. Now let us see in detail about the epics, children. You already know that an epic is a long narrative poem. Okay. What is there in that long narrative poem, children? you can see the stories of the adventures of brave men and women. You can see the stories of the adventures of the brave men and women. Okay. Next one, can see the tales of gods and goddesses from the past. Tales means stories. Stories of gods and goddesses from the past. From the past, you can know the stories of gods and goddesses. Okay. Next one, last one. These type of stories, these epics, they are based on moral values, children. You know what is moral values? Yes. For example, can you say some morals, children? Yes, honesty is the best policy. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Am I right? So these are called moral values. Okay. So these epics are stories based on morals values. Is it clear now? So what is an epic, children? It is a long narrative poem. Okay. It includes the stories of the adventures of brave men and women. What are the adventures? What they have done? Okay, fine. Next. Next is the tales of gods and goddesses from the past. The stories of gods and goddesses from the past. And last one is, it's also based on stories with moral values. It is also based on stories with moral values. Are you clear? Now look here, children. I have already told you about the folk tales in the beginning of the chapter. I told you that we are learning about the heritage of India. Under the heritage of India, we saw the architectural heritage. Okay, that is the historical monuments. Next one, we saw about epics. Two types of epics I said, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Okay. The next one is folk tales. Now, folk tales are stories, okay, which are passed from, that is orally passed from one generation to another. Now, there are two types of folk tales, children. One is Panchatantra stories and the other one is Jataka stories. Can you see the picture, children? The first picture is Panchatantra stories and the second picture you can see Lord Buddha, which is Jataka stories. Okay. What do you mean by the word tales, children? Tales, which I already told you now. Tales means stories. Okay, fine. Now look at the first picture again, children. Panchatantra stories. What do you see in the first picture, children? Animals. What do you see in the second picture? You see a human, Buddha. You see many humans, that is Buddha. Okay. Now, so what do you mean by this? What you can observe from this, children, or what you can understand from this, children? Panchatantra stories means these are stories in which animals are the main character in that story. In Panchatantra stories, animals are the main character. Whereas in Jataka stories, humans are the main character. Have you understood, children? Once again, I'll say, in folk tales means stories that are passed orally from one generation to another. We have two types of folk tales, two types of stories, children. That is Panchatantra stories and Jataka stories. In Panchatantra stories, if you see, these are stories in which animals are the main character. But in Jataka stories, if you see, these are the stories in which humans are the main character. Now look here, children. Now folk tales. I have already explained to you about the folk tales by looking at the picture itself. I hope you might have understood. Now folk tales, I already told you that it is the stories passed down orally from one generation to another. These stories are based on the experiences from the everyday life of common people. In what all the common people have faced in their life. So these stories are based on that also. Next one, these stories carry a message or a moral. They say some message to the people who is reading it, or it also gives some moral. It also gives some moral. Okay. I told you in this folk tales we have two types of stories in this. One is Panchatantra stories and the other one is Jataka stories. Panchatantra stories, in those stories, who are the main character is the animals are the main character. In Jataka tales, in those stories, the humans are the main character. Is it clear now? Are you able to understand? Clear, children? Okay, fine. So folk tales means the stories passed down orally from one generation to another. It is based on the stories and experiences on the common people, about the lives of the common people. These stories also have a message. At the end, if you see, the stories have a message or a moral. Okay, that is when you read the story, you can understand that what you should follow in your life. Okay, that is what is a moral. Then there are two types of stories in this folk tale. One is Panchatantra and the other is Jataka. Panchatantra is what we say as these stories are stories in which animals are the main character. In Jataka stories, humans are the main characters. Is it clear now? Okay. Now listen, children. I already told you that we are going through the chapter, The Heritage of India. So under Heritage of India, we have already seen the architectural heritage, that is the historical monuments, the epics, which is a long narrative poem, and the folk tales, which means the stories that are passed down orally from one generation to another. Okay, fine. Now, the next which comes under the heritage of India is dances. What is that, children? Dances. You all know what is a dance. Yes or no? Yes, because you all are interested in dance. Okay, fine. What are the two types of dances, children? As you know about the dance, can you tell me the two types of dances in India? Classical and folk. What are the two types of dances? Classical and folk. Okay. What do you mean by a classical dance, children? What do the dancers do in a classical dance? Dancers use various hand gestures. 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 What do you mean by gestures? Why we say dancers use various hand gestures? Gesture is a movement of the hand that expresses something. It tells something. Gestures means by the way of your hand you tell something. Okay? And then dancers use various hand gestures or mudras. Mudras. What do you mean by mudras? Yes, children, what are mudras? So, mudras is also a type of gesture for which we use the hand and fingers. Okay? We use the hand and fingers for symbolic gestures. Is it clear now? So now you might have understood that why dancers use various hand gestures or mudras during the performance. And this type of dance where dancers use various hand gestures or mudras during the performance is called classical dance. Okay. The next one is folk dance. Folk dance means it is a simple dance, children. It is performed by different communities from different regions to express their joy. When they are happy, they perform this folk dance. That's why we call this as simple dance forms performed by different communities from different regions. Why they perform this? To show their happiness on various occasions. What is the various occasions? Many of them, if they like rainy season, when the rain season comes, immediately they will sing and dance during the rainy seasons. All of us are happy on the birth of a child. Yes or no? All of us are happy on the birth of a child. For that they sing and dance. Then many of us are happy on a wedding, on a marriage function. Okay? And many of us are happy on a good harvest. Okay? When the crops become a plant, right? We are all happy. Yes or no? During that time they sing and dance. Then during festival times we sing and dance. All this is known as folk dance. So folk dance are simple dance forms performed by different communities from different regions to express their joys. When do they dance? On different occasions like arrival of different seasons, birth of a child, wedding, good harvest and festivals. Are you clear with this, children? Now you can watch the various classical dances of India. Now you can watch the various classical dances of India. Okay children, I hope you have watched the various classical dances of India. How was it children? Okay, fine. Now, let us see the different classical dances of India children. Now look at this picture. The first one is Bharatanatyam, which was originated in Tanjavur in Tamil Nadu. Bharatanatyam is one of the classical dance of Tamil Nadu, which was originated in Tanjavur. Now look at this picture and another classical dance of India. What is the name of this dance children? Odissi. Where was it originated children? In Odisha. So Odissi is a classical dance which was originated in Odisha. Yes children, now look at this picture. The next classical dance of India is Kuchipudi. Kuchipudi was originated in a place called Kuchipudi in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Yes children, now look at this picture. The next classical dance of India is Kathakali, which was originated in Kerala. What is the name of this classical dance children? Kathakali, which was originated in Kerala. Now what do the dancers do in this dance children? They enact stories through their dance. What they do? They show the stories from the Mahabharata and Ramayana. With the help of the dance, they show the stories from the Mahabharata and Ramayana. So Kathakali is the classical dance which was originated in Kerala. Now listen here children. This is the next classical dance of India. What is that? Kathak. Kathak is an ancient dance form of North India. It is the oldest dance form of North India. What is the name of that classical dance? Kathak. In this dance, the tales of Radha and Krishna. I already told you the meaning of tales is stories. The stories of Radha and Krishna and mythological stories are depicted. The stories of Radha and Krishna and mythological stories are depicted. Okay, what do you mean by mythological children? Mythological means the stories of the past which are especially about gods and men of that is bravery, brave men. Okay, myths, that mythological stories, it often explains us about natural and historical events. Natural or historical events, any one of this. That is what is known as mythological stories. Is it clear now? So, these dance forms tells us the stories of Radha and Krishna. Okay, they show the stories of Radha and Krishna and also mythological stories which are based on natural or historical events are shown. Is it clear now? Okay. The next classical dance of India is Manipuri. It originated in Manipur. It depicts the story of Lord Krishna. It depicts the story of Lord Krishna. Yes children, now look at this picture. The next classical dance of India is Mohiniyattam. It is also one of the classical dance of India. What is its name? Mohiniyattam. Where was it originated? In Kerala. Here, the dancers, through their dance, they express their devotion, how much they are devoted and how much love they have towards Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Okay, how much love they have towards Lord Vishnu. Okay, so Mohiniyattam is a classical dance which was originated in Kerala. In this dance, the dancers express their devotion and love towards Lord Vishnu. Here, now children, we are going to see about folk dances. I already told you that folk dances are simple dance forms which are performed on various occasions such as birth of a child, arrival of different seasons, weddings, festivals, right? So now we are going to see the different types of folk dance in India. Okay, the first one which we are going to see is Bihu. Bihu. It is a dance of Assam. Assam is a state in India. Okay. It is performed to welcome the harvest season. Why is this dance performed, children? This Bihu dance. To welcome the harvest season for a good crop. Is it clear now? Okay. This picture, children. This is another folk dance of India. What is the name of this folk dance? Gidda. Okay. In which state is it performed? In Punjab. It is known as the rhythmic folk dance. What is the name of this folk dance? Gidda. Rhythmic means with a music, a good rhythm we'll say. Okay. It is performed on which occasions, children? On weddings and festivals. Okay. Gidda is performed on weddings and festivals. In which state, children? In Punjab. In Punjab. Yes, children. Now look at this picture. The next folk dance of India which we are going to see is Garba. Which we are going to see is Garba. This is the popular folk dance of Gujarat. Okay. This is a popular folk dance of the state Gujarat in India. It is performed during the festival Navaratri festival. Why they perform this folk dance is to worship goddess Durga. So why they perform this dance, children, on this particular festival Navaratri? To worship goddess Durga. Now look at this picture, children. The next folk dance of India. What is the name of this folk dance? Kummi. What is the name of this folk dance? Kummi. Okay. It is a popular dance of Tamil Nadu. It is performed by the tribal women. Okay, children. What do you mean by this tribal women? They were actually a group of people in the traditional society consisting of families. Okay, consisting of families. So this dance was performed during the temple and harvest festivals. What is the name of this dance, children? Kummi. So it was performed during temple and harvest festivals. Listen, children. We are going to see the next heritage of India, which is music. You all know what is music. Do you like music, children? Yes. Now we'll see the types of music. The first one is Hindustani classical music. What is that, children? Hindustani classical music. Okay, here we have the North Indian style of classical music. Hindustani classical music is what? The North Indian style of classical music. What are the musical instruments we use for Hindustani classical music? Okay, the instruments are harmonium, sarod, sitar, sarangi, shenai and tabla. Okay, now the next music is Carnatic music. The next type of music is Carnatic music. Where is this music practiced? In South India. I told you Hindustani classical music is practiced in North India, but Carnatic music is practiced in South India. What are the musical instruments we use for Carnatic music? The instruments are Gadam, Kanjiram, Morsing, Veenu or flute, Veena and Chitraveena. Okay, so we saw two types of music, that is Hindustani classical music, North Indian style of classical music, and the instruments are harmonium, sarod, sitar, sarangi, shenai and tabla. And the next type of music is Carnatic music, which is practiced in South India. The musical instruments which we use for Carnatic music are Gadam, Kanjiram, Morsing, Veenu or flute, Veena and Chitraveena. This picture, children, this is the Hindustani classical musical instruments. You can see all the musical instruments in these two pictures. Now look at this picture, children. You can see the Carnatic musical instruments in this picture. What you can see? The Carnatic musical instruments in this picture. This type of music which we are going to see is folk music. This folk music is played on a part of occasions such as weddings, births and festivals. So we have seen three types of music, children. The first one is Hindustani classical music. The second one is Carnatic music. And the third one is folk music, which is a part of occasions such as weddings, births and festivals. Now we'll see the types of folk music. The first one is Bhatyali music. It is sung by the fishermen of Tamil Nadu. The second one is Panduvani music from Chhattisgarh. And the third one is Bihugit music from Assam. Okay. Now you are going to watch all these three types of music. Okay. Please enjoy watching it.
पंडवानी धर्मा बंदवानी.
Okay, hope you have enjoyed watching the music. Okay, now we are going to see the next heritage of India, children. Look at the picture now. The next heritage of India is paintings. First we'll see about the Bhimbetka Rock, which is the UNESCO World Heritage Site located in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, Bhimbetka Rock, the UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is located in a state called Madhya Pradesh. Okay, children, now look at this picture. The next type of paintings is the paintings on Ajanta caves. Okay, it was created by Buddhist monks. Okay, it shows that painting shows the life of Lord Buddha. Okay, that paintings show the life of Lord Buddha. Now look at this picture. The next type of painting is miniature paintings. These are actually Mughal paintings which shows the battle, the war, the fight and the court scenes during those days. Okay, so what are these paintings called? Miniature paintings. This picture, children, the next type of paintings, that is Tanjore paintings, which started in Tanjore, which is otherwise, this Tanjore is otherwise called as Tanjavur, which is in Tamil Nadu, during the Maratha period. Okay, so the next type of painting is Tanjore paintings, which was originated in Tanjore. The another name for Tanjore is Tanjavur, which is in Tamil Nadu. These paintings were created during the Maratha period. Now look at this, children. There are some folk and tribal paintings also. Folk and tribal paintings. So what are the names of these folk and tribal paintings? First one is Varli painting of Tamil Nadu. The next one is Bani Thani paintings of Rajasthan. Then Madhubani paintings of Bihar. Then Pattachitra paintings of Odisha. Kalamkari paintings of Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Yes, children. Now look at the first picture. This is an example of, as I told you, that folk and tribal paintings. The first one is an example of Varli painting and the second picture is an example of Bani Thani paintings. Now look at this picture, children. The first picture is an example of Madhubani painting and the second picture is the example of Pattachitra paintings. Now look at this last picture, children. This is Kalamkari paintings, an example of Kalamkari paintings. Okay, we have seen all the examples of the folk and tribal paintings. That is, the types of folks and tribal paintings are what all we saw? What all we saw, children? Yes, Bani Thani paintings, Varli paintings, Madhubani paintings, then Kalamkari paintings, Pattachitra paintings. I hope you have understood all this, children. And now you can understand that how beautiful is the heritage of India. Okay, we have seen about the contents. We have seen is the architectural heritage, that is the historical monuments, the epics. Okay, then we saw about what folk tales. Okay, then we saw about the dances, music and paintings of India. Hope you all have understood this chapter, children. Do you feel this chapter as interesting or not? Okay, fine. If you find it interesting, you all can send me a message to the school phone number. Is it clear, children? Okay. Thank you, children.